I think, there's a part where I felt like online, the whole divesting and the whole, like, what was that called? I guess divesting is a word, was
Jungle
glamorized.
fever.
Yeah,
Don't
jungle
take it back.
fever.
We show
Yes,
our age.
it was. It, I know, right? Oh, now we old. Because people I know, any young people watching, like, what's jungle fever? But um, yeah, on an emotional level, I just think that I think it's hard as Black men and women to, even though we talk about, I talk about the ease of it to an extent, because it's like there's, of course, there's benefits to being married, being, finding your person. But I think it's the challenge is knowing what, as a community, as Black folks, what we've been through, all the things, historically, the pain. A lot of us grew up poor, and even if we weren't poor, working class, maybe, single moms here. We just had so sometimes I think we want to escape. Like, we think, oh, if I did a white man, or if I can go outside of my community,
Hmm.
it's gonna be so much better. And I think a lot of going into why is that 70% there, why is 70% of a single, is like, it's like we want to escape ourselves, and falling in love requires just requires so much of you, and you see the other person kind of mirrored back at you, and that can
Yeah.
be very challenging, because it's like, now you have this other person who, you know perhaps could be hurting in certain ways, and you're having to deal with that, and they're having to deal with your pain and your
Yeah.
trauma. And so there is like I can see how we can repel each other at the same time. It's like we want to love each other, but it could be very difficult looking at someone who it could be very difficult when somebody actually sees you for who you really are,
Yeah.
good and
And
bad.
I
That's
want
scary.
to ask you a two part questions about the divesting part, right? So, well, and this is like a statement instead of a question, but I guess I'll make it a question. When people say that they want to divest and go to other races, right? Do you think if they don't heal from what is their trauma, are they going to just find the same person but just with different skin color?
Mm,
So it's like, yeah, I
yeah.
want instead of getting with I'm gonna use his name because this is my son name his car. Instead of getting with Boomquisha, I'm gonna get with Becky, right? I don't know why he named his car Boomquisha, but that's his name of his car. But
Okay.
instead of getting with Boomquisha, I'm gonna get with Becky, but Becky still have the same characteristics and the same toxic traits as Boomquisha. But now
Mm,
you overlook those toxic traits because you still seeing a white woman that's acting the same way, but you giving her a pass because she's white, or you giving a pass because she's Spanish, or you giving a pass because she's Asian American. You always give people pass. I notice that a lot. Like a black dude be like, I'm gonna just say this with men, right? Some black men I know that they outside their race, they get the same version of that person in a different race that they don't like in black women.
yes.
I've seen
Yes.
it before,
Yes.
time and time again. And
Yeah.
the second
That's
question I
real.
want to ask, and I thought about this in my head, and I think I might have asked my wife this. If I didn't, I'm gonna ask her today. If a black man, no, if a white woman love a black man, is that black love because she's loving that black man? Is that black love? Or that
Oh,
or that black man is giving love to a black woman? Is he giving her black love?
dang. Oh no, that's a question right there. I'm gonna go ahead and shut that down real quick right now. I do not think so. We're not gonna count that, because yeah. No. I mean, I can see why people are tempted to count that, but it's not the same, because I believe that, well, one, we know the statistics show that Black men and Black women tend to marry each other the most.
Yeah.
Like, that rate is very high. All this divesting and all that stuff, it's such a small percentage of, and I
Yes.
don't have the numbers, but it's such a small percentage of Black women who actually marry out, and Black men. Now, Black men, you will see them date all types of races, but in terms of who they actually marry, it's typically black women.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I don't count. Um, I don't count the interracial relationship as black love. I think that for it to be black love, to me, that means something very different because of the challenges that we've had, of our historical challenges, and us being able to, despite that, still come together. That's something very different. I'm not saying the white person didn't have historical challenges, but not the ones that we've had. So
Yes.
sorry, that don't count.
I just wanted to throw that. I wanted to throw that curveball in there, and I wasn't going to put it in the show notes. I wasn't going to put it into the conversation. I was like, let me just hit her with this to see what she come with this off top of the head to see if.
Oh man, but that was good though. I never heard that before. Yeah, I never heard anybody
I'm gonna
say
tell you.
that.
I'm gonna tell you why I thought about that because where we live at, my wife and I are the minority when it comes to married, like same
Hmm.
skin color marriage. Like we are the minority.
Wow.
Is majority interracial relationships. Like there's a lot of beige kids in the school that my stepdaughter goes to, and we like damn. We always see this like it just we just always look at it like damn. Everywhere we go, there's always either white man, black woman, or black woman, white man. Like it's always the case, right? And I'm like, is this considered black love? Like that black person is giving that person love. Is that considered black love? But I guess sometimes we put terms out there and we have such loose definitions of these terms that
Yeah.
if you do put something in there like a little monkey wrench, like I ask, could that be the same thing? And I think it's not, but I just want to get your perspective on it to see if you like maybe it is or maybe it's not, but you shut it down real quick.
No, yeah. I mean, I appreciate you asking. That is something to think about. I never thought about it, but yeah, I don't have to think about that very long because believe me, I've never been with a white man. So be honest with you, I don't know what that's like, but I do wholeheartedly believe that I'm telling you, man, there's so much stuff. Like even the way I can sit with my husband, we can reminisce. We were reminiscing on songs. He's older than me, like by I
Mm-hmm.
don't know 7.5 years, but there's still like we still know like a lot of the same songs, and just sitting and reminiscing on songs and associating that to the memories that we had. And crazy thing, some of our memories, I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He grew up in Maryland. We have some of the same experiences,
Yes.
totally different. So I do wholeheartedly believe that I could not do that with a white man. I don't think I could play a song like, oh, we had to maybe, but I highly doubt if that white man could actually say that he ate a mayonnaise sandwich or a syrup sandwich or a ketchup sandwich or whatever stuff we were talking about. Like I doubt it. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
there's just things that I don't have to explain to him as a black man. Like he knows, he understands the hair and all the, he
Yeah.
gets it. So those are the things when you say black love, it's like to me, I'm saying, wow, despite all the things in our community, the odds really being against us to be together, we still are here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sorry,
And
Lauren.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with you about that. The references right now. So there, the age difference between my wife and I is similar to the your husband and yourself with the age difference. And I could play a song for my wife, and she have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, how you don't know this? Like it could. Well, I guess I'm gonna say this back. I grew up in New York. She grew up in Georgia. So I grew up with 1990s New York hip hop. So I could have a reference of a 1990s New York hip hop underground song, and she would not understand what I'm talking about. Then she could have a reference of some, you know, ass shaking down South Atlanta rapper, and I don't know what the hell she talking about. So we do have that. I guess that regional understanding of we don't know what we're talking about. So I could talk about like some, you know, I could talk about the Jizza from the Wu Tang Clan. She'd be like, "Who the hell is that?" And she could talk about K Camp, and I'm like, "Who the hell is like? I don't know who these people are." And she don't know who the people are. But as far as like R&B, we do have understanding of R&B. But as far as hip hop, yeah, we don't see eye to eye. So that's one thing I can say about us.
So funny. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. Yeah, I can see that too. I can see that too. But I'm sure there's other things that, I'm assuming, is she Black American?
Yes.
Because that probably also
Yes.
plays into it if somebody
She
from
is.
another
Yes.
country.
She is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yep.
probably certain things that can come up that And and you just, as a black woman, I'm sure there's things that you just automatically get
Yeah,
because you've been around black women that she doesn't have to explain to you.
yeah. But I would
You
say
know.
one benefit I would say with being with a black woman, I could use her shampoo that costs like $15, and I, you know what I'm saying? So my waves be looking a lot better now. I can use her shampoo. And
That
one
is
thing I
so
would
funny.
say, I'll put this on the record. One thing I have an issue with interracial relationships is I don't want to see a white man using black woman shampoo. That's one thing that's why I draw the line at. Like you don't need to use, Carol's daughter. You could use Perk Plus from Walgreens and just keep it like that. You don't
Okay.
need to,
'Cause you don't need to be wasting. Yeah, what is you wasting money at that point? Shoot, don't be wasting my money. Shoot, that stuff is
you know,
expensive.
yeah, that's it. That's my only gripe. Besides that, you can love who you want to love, but just don't use her shampoo.
That
And
is so funny.
yeah. I mean, and also a black man, you could use the white girl shampoo, but the white man can't use the black woman shampoo. That's why I draw the line at.
Okay, I agree with you on that point.
All
Yeah,
right.
you got my agreement there.
All right. So let me ask you this, right? Going back to what we see online. When it comes to relationships, why do you think the toxic relationships go viral and the healthy and thriving relationships is like a
Mhm.
niche when it comes to social
Mm.
media?
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good question. I think as people, as humans, we are drawn to drama. We're
Yes.
just it's just how our brains are. We like we like things that are sensational. It takes our minds off of what we have going on. And so if we see a celebrity breakup or something like that, it's like, oh my god, so I mean, I think it's a human thing, and I think it's unfortunate because it's like, there's so many examples of healthy relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and sadly positive thing. It's for the same way when we watch the news. Like if you watch, any of the MSNBCs or whatever, those things, they will start with the most traumatic story, and then
Yep.
they'll save all the softer, like lighthearted things for the end because they know people aren't watching at that point. Most
Mm-hmm.
people came. They know why people are clicking, and you. So I think a lot of it is just the way we're programmed, but I think a lot of it is too, it's up to us to understand that, and to like the fact that I'm even explaining this, it goes to show I have an awareness of how people get sucked into things. And
Yes.
therefore my job is to say, okay, I know how this media works. I know that all the planes aren't falling out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the information. Thank you. It was interesting. But, and then I have to curate my social media or whatever it is to fit the narrative that because there was a time where I'm embarrassed to say this, but I spent a lot of time watching The Real Housewives. And
Mm-hmm.
that was, I couldn't wait to turn that on and see all of that drama. And I had to, and this is no shade to anybody who watches that, but I had to mature to the point where I'm like, okay, this is like fake. This is not real. This is not helping me. I was single. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
nigga, you want to get married? Why are you watching women pull each other's wigs off? Like, how is
Mm-hmm.
that going to help you level up in your life seeing somebody's wig get snatched? And so again, it's about, yes, there is a conditioning that we have as human beings to sort of gravitate to the things that are, that seem so dramatic and so sensational and so horrendous.
Yeah.
Same reason why a lot of us like to watch crime shows. We sit there and watch, oh man, he murdered 8 people. But at the end of the day, it's up to us to reprogram the parts of our
Yes.
brain so that we can help ourselves. I had to
Yeah.
stop watching crime shows as well because it was actually
Yeah.
scaring me. It wasn't helping me.
Yeah. I call it the I guess like the car accident effect. So like if you on a highway or a freeway or expressway, what have you, and you run into traffic, and now we see the cop lights and the tow trucks. Like damn, it's an accident, and the accident's on the side of the road. But the reason why there's traffic because everybody's slowing down to see the accident. So if everybody's still going the same pace, there will be no traffic. But everybody
Mm,
just so drawn to seeing like a tragic or
yeah,
accident or a car wreck. People are just drawn to tragedy.
yeah,
And I think that's the same
yeah,
reason why. We see the toxic relationships. We see the Krishans and the Blueface of the world that is just doing the most and having all these problems, and people love seeing it. Or like I don't know the girl's name that Anthony Edwards just had a baby with, but you see that all over the internet now. You know, you just see those type of stories time and time again, as opposed to seeing someone like going back to the NBA, like Giannis Antetokounmpo and his wife, or LeBron James and Savannah. Like you're not seeing that too often. You just
Mhm.
see the train wrecks all the time, and people love sharing it and talking about it. Or like another one, I guess NBA wise, Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert. Like people love that love
Mhm.
story, but that wasn't being amplified. But now they getting a divorce, everybody's talking about it, just mushroomed up to like, damn, see how much money she getting, see what That's why I don't get married. Going back to why you don't get married.
Mhm. Wow, no, that's so
Hmm.
good. That's true. And
Yeah.
and and again, it's we like to validate because so many people do struggle, even married people. We all struggle in love because it's very difficult to make, we're all different people. So we're going to have
Yeah.
challenges sometimes. And so we want to sometimes we want to validate the challenges that we're having. It's like, oh, well, I'm
Hmm.
not the only one having a challenge. Look at Tiana Taylor and Iman. Look at and we just want to keep pointing to all the people who have
Yes.
failed to validate our own failure. But, again, how is that going to help? It actually is
Hmm.
more validating to find the successful couple who's maybe been married for 30 years,
Hmm.
and let's hear what they have to say, because that's
Yes.
going to be what's actually going to help us is figuring out how do we make this work, not celebrating or relishing in someone else's pain.
Hmm.
And I think it's really, it can be a lot. It's so much easier to be the way that we're talking about. Like, it's so much easier to sit there and click on all those negative things because there's so much out there. It's a lot harder to break out of that, no pun intended, broken traditions. But that is essentially, there
Yes.
you go. That is essentially why, part of your brand is like breaking out of the things that we have been socialized to believe is normal.
Yes. Ooh,
Yeah.
that was the whole word. I might have to use that as a drop. Don't be mad if you see like the videos you see.
Come on, soundbite.